Have you guys been Uzbekistanian jelk munt maxing and simultaneously flicker gooning and adrenaline flow state maxing? Because I know I haven't. Um, oh my god, it's 4:44 a.m. I am not gonna lie, I'm pretty fucking tired. These last 2 days, I don't know if, more than likely it's just a lack of quality sleep. But I'm also thinking I might have some sort of deficiency in something. Not sure, because I have been abnormally tired. Um, so for those of you that don't know, I work kind of a weird schedule where uh, every other week I work 60 hours. So this week I work, or have worked, Monday, Tuesday, and then Friday, Saturday, Sunday. And they're all 12-hour shifts. So on these on weeks, it's pretty fucking rough. Uh, Typically I'll wake up around like 3:30, 4 a.m., go to the gym, shower, change, go to work, and then I'll be home by like 8, and then I eat something, I pack my stuff for the next day, and I go straight to bed. Uh, but when you do it for a very consistent amount of time, like me, I've been doing this for months. Uh, I think when I don't get enough sleep as consistently as I'd like to, I can kind of handle it for, a few weeks at a time. But then I'll get to weeks like this where I crash really badly. Uh, I just kind of physically and systemically push myself to a point where I'm kind of suffering from it. Pair that with being in a deficit from cutting for so long. That's kind of a formula for a very eepy guy. But I took these last 2 days off, not planned, of course. But I want to say Friday morning, I didn't wake up for any of my alarms. I was just exhausted. And then Saturday morning, I was just too tired. It was that type of tired where I was almost worried I'd hurt myself trying to drive to the gym so early. So uh I managed to get a good amount of sleep last night. I was still tired this morning. Uh Pretty darn tired. But I cannot justify taking 3 days off in a row. That kind of kills me. Uh, Plus, of course, we all have body dysmorphia to some level. And when I don't work out for 2 days in a row, it takes a toll on me. I start looking in the mirror and I see Shrek. So, forcing myself today. A little tired, but I'll be alright. Plus, I can't deprive you guys of my beautiful voice for that long. I know that's gotta, these last 2 days must have been hard. So, here I am. Uh, but we got legs today. Uh, of course, on my leg days in the mornings where I have to go to work afterward, I don't have nearly enough time to be able to kill both hamstrings and quads to the degree that I'd like. I could probably get a pump on both if I really rushed it, but on days like this, I'd rather just focus on quads and really take the time to kill them because of all of the proportionality in my legs, I think my quads are the parts that are lacking the most. So I think the plan for today is to run in. I'll warm up hamstrings real quick just because I don't want to do any quad-based movements without at least having a little blood flow in the backs of my legs. So probably like 2 solid little warm-up sets on hamstrings. Then we'll run over to leg extension, warm up quads and adductors, and from there, sky's the limit. I don't think I'm going to do any squatting today, purely because it takes a little bit to like warm up, set up the squat rack and everything. It takes too much time for me to justify. By the time I've warmed up, I'll only have like maybe 20 minutes to actually lift. In between squat sets, kind of need a little more time to recover. So if my psychic abilities are correct, I predict a lot of leg extensions, some sissy squats, and potentially some sort of leg press. We'll see. In terms of preparation for the gym, this is another one of those detriments that come along with working out before work. I am probably not as hydrated as I'd like to be. Not probably, I'm definitely not. I slammed like 2 bottles of water before going to bed last night. Then I had another one this morning, plus my pre-workout. And then for carbs, I had a small pack. It's like 60 grams, or I'm sorry, 60 calories. So probably like 20-ish grams of carbs of Welch's fruit gummies. So definitely not ideal conditions by any stretch of the imagination, but you kind of just have to make do with what you got. So I know I'm going to make it a good workout. I'm a little inspired, very motivated, probably because in the 2 days that I haven't been able to go to the gym, I've been watching a lot of lifting related content, so I'm a little fired up. The beta alanine is kicking in, so I know the pre-workout is starting to work its magic. And by the time I'm done warming up, I know I'll be as shipshape as possible. So, it will not be that bad. I know a lot of people will probably say, like, dude, why are you lifting like so early in the morning if you're not able to get your preparations right? You know, it just sucks in general. Why don't you go after work? Well, my argument for that is what sucks more? Going to the gym before work or going to the gym after work? When I first started this microbiology job, I was going to the gym after work. So, you know, work all day, had lunch and everything, and then slam some pre-workout, some non-stim pre-workout, on the way to the gym after work. Lift, shower, go home. By the time I finished everything, got home, it's already almost like 10 o'clock, 10:30. And then it takes me a little bit to fall asleep. So really, I'm not asleep until 12. And then I gotta be up at like 5:30, 6 at the most to go to work. So I am already killing myself by doing that. That kind of puts me in a worse state as opposed to going in the morning, because on an ideal morning lift schedule, uh, I am up by 4, make it to the gym around 4:30, lift, shower, whatever, go to work. I'm home by 8, and I am in bed by like 9. So that kind of gives me an extra 2-ish hours of sleep to play around with. Uh, Along with the fact that after working all day, I'm just fucking tired. Like, not just physically tired, but I'm very, like, mentally exhausted. So it's a lot harder for me to really push myself how I'd like to, uh, compared to the morning where I can, after the grogginess wears off, I'm able to really mentally say, okay, like, let's do it. So that's the idea. Gym is practically empty today. Not practically, it is empty. What sane person is going to go to the gym at 4:55 a.m.? But I'm going to run inside, warm up and everything, and I'll see you guys when I'm done. Oh boy. My friends, that is what I like to call an efficient lift. So I got in there, warmed up hamstrings. I just did like 2 sets of standing hamstring curls. We don't have a dedicated like standing hamstring curl machine, but what I like to do is the lying hamstring curl. You can set it's like a little roller pad, but you can set it onto the lowest setting. And because the bench is so high up off the ground, you can brace yourself on the bench, and you can pretty efficiently do standing hamstring curls right there on the lying machine. Maybe I'll try to record it at some point, but it's kind of a game changer for me. So I did 2 sets of that, not trying to like burn myself out or anything, but simply warming myself up. And then I warmed up adductors and I warmed up quads. And then I did one pretty darn heavy. Oh my God, that is so depressing. I'm not even going to tell you what I just saw on the road. But one set of heavy, leg extensions. And then I know I said I wasn't going to do squats. I know I said I wasn't going to do it, but after warming up, it just felt right. Everything felt perfect for squats. So I loaded up the bar. I didn't go too heavy. I only did 275 and did about 11 reps. And by the time I got to 11, I was so gassed out. I called it there. Not the entire lift, just squats themselves. So one moderately heavy set to failure. Pretty darn good. After that, moved back to leg extension, and I did another like 4 sets or so. And by the time I was done with that, I was so tired, so fatigued that I had to sit there for a minute and just catch my breath. I even felt a little bit nauseous. So after I finished up, sat in the locker room for a minute. I didn't do a very good pose down, just because that shit takes it out of you too. Dare I say that the pose down is almost as physically fatiguing as the lift itself. Because at that point, you've already burnt yourself out. If you did everything correctly, you have completely eliminated all of the glycogen stores in your muscle fibers. So to stand there and take a deep breath in, breathe all the air out, and then strike a pose and strain every single muscle in the muscle group that you just hit, that shit is hard. So everything looked good though, just walking around. Quads looked nice and full, or not full. They looked good. They looked separated. I'm seeing more separation from the vastus medialis and vastus lateralis. So, can't complain. Everything was pretty darn good. And if you can't tell, I shaved. I was starting to look a little homeless there. I'm definitely due for a haircut as well, but what are you going to do? So, now I am on the way to work, and this is the last day of the week that I'm working, and then I get a nice little off week. So, this following week, I'm only going to be working on Wednesday and Thursday. So, that will not be too bad. It's just hard working your way there. I swear these weekends that I work, they get longer and longer each time I do them. It feels like I've been working for about 2 weeks in a row now. So, I need a well-deserved break. So, enough about that. Enough doomer talk. I want to have a nice discussion, but I don't know what about. I always talk about cutting, and I always talk about getting sleep. Talk about nutrition. I talk about the accidents that I almost get into, not due to a fault of my own. I think people just see me talking to myself and they decide, yeah, that's the one to hit. But I guess we could talk about workout splits as a whole. I don't know if I talked about that a lot. And of course, take whatever I say with a grain of salt. I'm certainly an inexperienced lifter, but I do not know everything. I'm not a coach. So, learn what you can, use what's useful, and throw away the rest. But when I first started lifting, I didn't kind of go right out the gate and say, okay, I'm going to separate my muscle groups exactly like this: chest and shoulders, back and rear delts, arms and legs. And then I perfectly hit every lift with the perfect amount of intensity starting there. That's probably not going to work for most people. When you're starting off, I think the best course of action is to just pick a split. Push-pull legs is probably your best. And then, I don't know. I think copying like a general push-pull leg split from whatever popular coach or Reddit post you see with a specific set and rep scheme and just follow that and just do it for like a few months. Because when you first start lifting, the important part is not only setting up that consistency and discipline of lifting, but it's also to get experience. Not just experience in like lifting form and what type of lifts there are, but also learning about your own body. Everybody's body works differently. So if, Joe Schmo over here says, yeah, dude, decline bench press feels amazing. It is my favorite lift. I do it every chest day. And then you go to do it and it sucks. Well, if you're a beginner lifter and it feels like it sucks, it's not necessarily the case that it doesn't work with your anatomy. More than likely, you're still figuring things out. You don't know. So if you kind of make that mistake of like, oh, well, I just started lifting this month and I did preacher curls and it felt terrible, so I'm never going to do them again. That's not the approach that we should be taking here. Um, get your experience, learn what movements work for your body. Like, another example, I used to do flat bench a bunch when I first started off. And when I first started, it really sucked, especially for my left shoulder. It just, like, once I got down here, it just really sucked. And whenever I bench in general, I kind of keep a wider form, just due to how my genetics are. I'm like more broadly built. It's harder for me to tuck everything in. Uh, and everybody kept saying, "Oh, you got to tuck your elbows in more," and da 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 da. And I kept doing it, and it just hurt. It never like got better for me. Uh, and then a couple months down the line, after I got more experience and I learned more about how my body works, I figured out that incline bench press feels a lot better for me. And I also know that I can't keep my elbows like super narrow. Uh, I need my elbows a little more spaced out. Not like in a perfect T by any means, but I need a little more space to be able to effectively target my chest. So that's kind of what I mean. You just have to lift enough to understand what works and what doesn't, what angles work for you, and do you have like a weird thing with your shoulder, maybe your left knee gets loose, or who fucking knows? But just figure it out. That's the point of the first few months of your lifting. And then once you get enough experience and you've kind of gotten into the groove of it and you know what works for you, that's when you can kind of start taking the approach of freeballing it. Kind of like what I do, where I have my split set up to where I know tomorrow I'm doing chest and side delts. But I I don't have a little piece of paper that says, okay, for my chest day tomorrow, I'm going to start off with 3 sets of this at a 8 to 12 rep range. That's that's not how I like to set things up. Uh, because listening to your body and kind of feeling things out, I think will work a lot better for you in the long run. Because if I went it tomorrow with that dedicated set and rep scheme and I get on incline dumbbell bench press and my paper says I have 3 sets of this for 8 to 12, first set starting at about 90%. Well, if I get under it and I warm up and everything, and then I hit the 90% and it felt fucking terrible, nothing felt right, everything hurts, whatever, I don't want to be locked into doing another 2 sets of something that I'm not really going to get much out of. If it sucks that day, it doesn't necessarily mean it's going to suck tomorrow. But I know that on that day, incline dumbbell bench press isn't going to do it. So having that type of freedom and knowledge to say, okay, this didn't feel good, but I could do this. And that has a similar movement path and targets the same muscle fibers and everything. That is what you should be doing. So get your experience, figure out how your body works. And then after you've kind of gotten that down, that's when you can start feeling things out, learning more. And on that same vein, it is kind of your responsibility as the new lifter to learn. Try to be a sponge. If you see really big dude in the gym and he's doing a lift you've never seen before, go up and talk to him. Say, hey dude, the hell is this? Even like to this day, I still do the same thing. If I see a dude doing a lift that I've never seen before, I'm going to ask them about it. Not because I'm like, hey, what do you think you're doing, pal? But I always want to learn more. Maybe that niche movement that I've never heard of, that Uzbekistanian single-armed pull-up is the key for more growth. Shit, you won't know until you try. So always ask around, figure it out. And I think the most important thing about this entire process is to have fun with it. I know a lot of people, a lot of my close friends They were super into the gym for a few months, like consistently going, but there really wasn't a passion for it. They go because shit, who doesn't want to get big? Who doesn't want to be that like buff dude that looks good? But that was kind of their only driving factor is like, oh, I want to get big. But then they kind of hated every second of going to the gym. And then because they didn't love it and they're not into the lifestyle of lifting, they didn't count their macros. They didn't do cardio. They didn't get their sleep schedule on track. And wouldn't you know it, a few months down the line, they don't go to the gym at all. So you kind of have to like find your love for it. When I first started lifting, I was, just not happy. Kind of depressed, didn't have a lot of direction. A lot of this is just self-imposed, woe is me type stuff. Not saying that like it was a legitimate reason to be depressed, but I kind of broke out of that because a lot of that was just self-doubt and self-imposed nonsense. But that's not the case for everybody. Everybody has a valid reason for being depressed. So I get it. But in my case, self-imposed. And it actually took a buddy of mine to like call me, and he lives overseas. He lives in Dubai. But he called me and I was just kind of like venting to him. And I was like, dude, like this sucks. I was rotting in bed all day. And he was like, listen, I want you to slap yourself for me. And I did. And he was like, what you're going to do, you're going to put on some clothes, some like gym clothes. You're going to go to the gym and just fucking do something there for like 30 minutes. And I did. And I just kind of kept consistently doing it. I wasn't like, I would kind of go in there, I'd freak out a little bit on the cable machine and then walk on the treadmill for 15 minutes. And I kind of did that for a few weeks. And then one of my best friends, he was going to the gym consistently at that time with our friend group, and they invited me to go with them every night. So I started going with them every night, learning the ropes and figuring things out. And, you blink and here we are over, 2.5 years down the line. And I'm making these fucking videos and trying to, just get all the passion out of my system for the day so that I don't bore anybody else at work. So crazy to see how the journey has come along. But point of all that rambling is it all starts somewhere. And I mean, start for whatever reason you want to start with. It doesn't really matter. As long as you're in the gym, that's the point. And you will learn, what your passion is as you continue. So I think I've been yapping for way too fucking, holy shit. This might be a long ass video. But yeah, pretty solid yap session today, guys. If you, listen this far, I hope you got something out of it, but I'm gonna relax for a little bit until I make it to work. So, chest and shoulders tomorrow. Will it be an early morning lift? I hope so. I'm gonna try to get up early tomorrow just to keep things consistent, but guess we'll find out tomorrow. I'll see you guys.